Now remember, to find out how many records are in a table, look down at the record navigation bar and you can see we've got a total of 47. Now if I don't want to see all the records, just say those employees who work in the state of Utah, I could sort it and it would group them all together ascendingly, where the A's are up at the top and the U's down at the bottom. But you can imagine if you had thousands of records and more than just 2 states to work with, then it's just easier to filter, or what's called filtering, where you can set the criteria to view only those records like those employees who work in the state of Utah. And you can do it one of many ways. One way is just to come up here on the Home tab to the Sort and Filter group and click on the filter, which looks like a funnel. And I don't know where it's got the filter, somewhere maybe at that point where you pour stuff into it and it says, I'm going to squeeze this out and just bring this in. And right now, I just want to see those employees who work in the state of Utah, so when I click on it, it's pulling up the employee ID. And why? Because that's where I'm at. So I click cancel and I want to focus on the state field. Then I can come up here and click on filter and filter just, well, if you had a lot and you just want to choose one, instead of unchecking all of them, you could deselect all and then just check the one. Or if you only want a few, then you just uncheck a few. And then when you're ready, go ahead and click okie dokie, and there we go, just Utah. Now a couple of things happen, the least of which is it filtered out Arizona and pulled in Utah. And then you can see up here next to the state, you got that little funnel. Lets me know that that field is being filtered. Other indicators are down below on the status bar. It says that this is being filtered. And also, you can see it's being filtered here. And then you've got the toggle filter button. That means that if you want to go back to the way it was before you filtered it, going, wait a second, I want to see what it looked like before, click on it, and it takes us back to the way it was. And then you can click on it again, and hey, it's toggled now. We can go back to our original filter. Now let me go ahead and save it. What would happen if I closed out of it and open up the employees table again? Double click, and it's not filtered, but it remembers the toggle. So I can come up here and click on toggle, and it goes back to just Utah. Oh, isn't that fancy? You can also toggle it down below by clicking on filtered. It's unfiltered now, but if I click on unfiltered, it goes to filtered. And if you don't want that filter to be toggled in anymore, then to get rid of the toggle, you can just come back up here to that field that's got that little funnel, click on the drop down arrow, and then say you want to clear the filter from the state, and there you go. No more togglage. Now you don't have to come up to the top on the ribbon to be able to filter. For example, if I want to be able to filter by Arizona, how about just a right click? And when I right clicked on that field AZ, it pulls up where I can have it just equal AZ. Left click on it and it only pulls in AZ. Oh, isn't that nice? Let's go ahead and click on the drop down arrow and clear that. And then right click on AZ again, or maybe Utah, it doesn't matter, one of the fields. Now it equals Utah, so if you just want to see Utah, there you go. Then does not equal Utah, contains only UT, or it doesn't contain UT in the field. You can have text filters, and then you can say, well, it ends with, and then go ahead and type in the letter T for Utah. In any case, let me click cancel. How about numbers? How does it work with numbers? Let's see, which one of my fields are numbers? Zip code? Could be a text field. So let's come up here and right click on the tab, go to the design view. Okay, employee ID is a number field, department number is a number field, and the weekly hours is a number field. Okay, let's go to the weekly hours, right click and go back to the data sheet view. Okay, we got to save it first. All right, yes. And then go over to the weekly hours and see what it looks like when you right click on 40. So you can filter by selection again, saying, okay, since I right clicked on 40, I can filter by 40 where it equals 40, or it doesn't equal 40, less than or equal to 40, or greater than or equal to 40, or do your number filters, or it can be less than, select less than, and then type in a number. Of course, you get out of the scope of 40 if you say less than 35 and hit enter. Well, less than or equal to 35 because it's pulling up 35. And let's go ahead and click on the drop down arrow and clear the filter for weekly hours. Now let's say that we want to filter more than one field. Okay, let's go ahead and filter it by state. Like if I go ahead and click, like in the field Utah, of course I can right click, but you also have the option to filter by selection up here on the Home tab in the Sort and Filter group. Selection, click on the drop down arrow, and of course it's like right clicking on the field, so you can right click. I prefer doing it that way. Equals Utah, doesn't equal, contains, or doesn't contain Utah in the name of that field. This equals Utah. Let's say that I want to come over here into the first name and pull up all those whose names, because I talked to an employee today and it was Matt. It was with an M. Matt, Mary. Oh, I can't remember. There's so many M's to look through and to scroll, but I know it began with the letter M. So what we can do is we can go ahead and right click over here anywhere and say we want to do a text filter and say that it begins with, hey, there we go. Select that, type in M, hit enter. Cool, we narrowed it down. Oh, it was Monty. Now we were able to narrow that down. And so now you can see we've got two filters, a funnel there for first name and a funnel for state. And of course you can toggle back to the way it was before it was filtered, toggle. It remembers both filters. Now if you have two or more filters and you want to clear them, of course it's, for me, very inefficient to click on one and say clear this one, click on the other one, clear this one. That's rather annoying. Instead, let's go ahead and click off. And then just come up here to the sort and filter group, click on advanced, and say we want to clear all filters. Oh, that's nice. Okay, last thing. Let's say you set up a filter and you really like it, and you don't want to reapply the filters again, but you have other filters that you like, certain situations you want to pull up as well, that you don't want to create those filters over again either. What you can do is you can create your first filter and save it as a query. Create your second filter, and that's right, you can save as many different versions of your filters as queries. That way you don't have to recreate the wheel, as it were, when you set up your filters. So if you got a complex filter that includes a lot of different options and different fields, let's go ahead and, as far as this example goes, let's keep it simple. You can create your own complex filters. But let's say I want to go ahead and filter for the last name and first name and maybe for the state. Well, let's just go ahead and do it for the state here of Arizona. Right click and say it equals Arizona, and then right click over here in first name and say the text filters begins with, oh, we'll do M again for Arizona this time. Hit enter, and that's easy to recreate, but if yours is more complex, you don't want to keep recreating it over and over again. Once you have it set up the way you like it, go ahead and save it as a query. How do you do that? Well, with your table here selected, you want to go backstage File, go down to Save As, and then go to Save It as an Object. Click on Save As, and then come over here and click on Save As so we can actually get the window to save it as a different object, not as a table. We already got a table. We want to save it as a query so it can take a snapshot of our filter and put it into the query here. And instead of copy of this time a table, it's going to be a query, QRY, three-letter prefix. As we talked about in an earlier training video, the purpose for that, and we'll say in Arizona begins with and then click okie dokie, and hey, there we go. It pulled up the query in the datasheet view. Just like a table's got a datasheet view, the front view, and so it's got only those in Arizona that begin with the letter M. Oh, that's nice. So I can go ahead and click on employees, and it's right there as well. Cool. So I've got this one. Let me go back to the query and close out. And then if I want to go ahead and change this up by clearing all the filters, again, advanced, to clear all filters, and then we'll keep it simple here because I think you're getting the idea. And you go ahead and you do your filters equals Utah. I know this is very simple, but you do more filters, right? And then you want to go ahead and save it again. File, save as object, save as, to get it to where we can change it to a query, and three-letter prefix to identify that it's a query. And you can even type in filter for Utah, UT, and then click okie dokie, and hey, there we go. Now we have two. So I can keep creating those as many as I'd like. And let me go ahead and close out of here. So when I clear the filters here for my table, or maybe this is the one that I use the most, so I leave that one, the toggle, but I want to quickly find up all those employees in Arizona that begin with the letter M. Go ahead and double click on that, and hey, it pulls it right up. Now, we haven't covered this yet, but to give you a heads up with queries, if you're kind of curious, that of course when you right click on a table, you go to the design view of the table. We talked about that, but when you right click on a query and go to the design view, well, here's a heads up. There's the table. Down below are all the fields from this table that are going to be displayed in the datasheet view. And down below you have the criteria that says has to be like or begin with M for only those employees that work in the state of AZ. Isn't that cool? I bet you're excited to learn about queries. Let's go ahead and close out of here. And now you've got as many different filters that are called queries as you want to set up or save from your table your filter as a query. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.